Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Edge, the voice of the Maple Leaf Finals at Agribition, and for this year, the host of this special series celebrating and showcasing the very best of Canadian rodeo. This is our final episode of the series, and it's a topic we couldn't be more excited about: getting back to live rodeo action in 2021. There's no guarantee when exactly that might happen, but rodeo committees all over Canada, including right here in Regina, are raring to go. So today, we're going to hear from the people who have been working hard to make sure our sport is back in the saddle as soon as possible. And of course, we couldn't be doing this episode or the entire series without the help of Agribition rodeo sponsors like MNP. Partnerships like that help rodeo thrive. And joining us in this portion of today's show is going to be Jeff Robson, the General Manager of the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association, joining us from the shadow of the Rockies in Calgary, Alberta. How are you doing today, Jeff? Thanks for making time in your day to join us.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing really good. It's been a great week out here in Regina. Now, a couple of questions I have for you here today. 2020 has obviously been maybe one of the larger challenges that rodeo in general has ever seen. What are you guys doing to hold down the fort, and what are the goals being to try to keep things relevant and maintain the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association in general?
Yeah, so I think no different than any other organization. We face with cutting our costs to the extent that we can, and trying to I guess inform our committees about what's happening in behind the scenes, and then just really trying to come up with some marketing and strategy ideas for how to kick off 2020.
Right on. And as far as the maintenance of the rodeos themselves are concerned, do you think that we're going to see any kind of fundamental change in how things are run in a rodeo to rodeo standpoint, or do you think that we're going to be able to keep the same template?
I think the template's going to be one that could easily be argued that things will change. I mean, every other facet has changed in our lives, whether going to the grocery store or whether, just going out for dinner. Obviously masks have changed a lot of things, and the COVID rules in general. I'd have to think somehow, some shape, we're going to see things be different. So, we're still working through what that might look like with predominantly Alberta Health Services as the bulk of our rodeos in Alberta. We really need to get a green light for them to go ahead and start to happen.
Yes. Well, one of the things I wanted to make sure is on behalf of the production personnel, on behalf of the contestants, we wanted to make sure we thank everybody at the CPRA office for the hard work that they've been doing throughout 2020 to keep everything relevant and maintaining the books and maintaining the balances and maintaining those relationships with entities like Alberta Health Services to try to get things started as quickly as possible. And that being said, what do you feel the prospects are for a relaunch in 2021? And if so, what are the steps for that?
Yeah, well, first steps first. We need to get a blessing from Alberta Health Services so that we can get moving. And, we can understand what those, what the rules of engagement may be. Obviously, rodeo, especially professional rodeo, is driven predominantly by fans and our fan base, which we have an extremely strong fan base. So, not allowing reasonable fan levels at events. Is pretty catastrophic for us. So I think the big thing that we really need to get our point across is, how can we have fans? How can we deliver a meaningful experience? And then, might take some baby steps first, but for us, it's, our first event in 2021 is a bull riding in January in Red Deer. It'd be a great test for us to see what kind of protocols we can put in place, what sort of rules of engagement might need to happen for that event. That will start to move the needle in terms of where we go from.
Well, I know we're all sure looking forward to a relaunch, no matter what it might look like. So once again, thanks, Jeff, for all the hard work you guys are doing in that office in Ellen and Airdrie there, and making sure that we're having the best chance possible at getting started here again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Chris Lane is also joining us. Of course, he is the CEO of Canadian Western Agribition. Now let's move from sort of a governing body situation to sort of a situation where you guys have one of the biggest rodeos going on in Canada. What have been your goals throughout this shutdown in 2020? How have you been maintaining the brand that is Agribition, and what are you focusing on for future opportunities?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim. I would say we go back to the core of what Agribition really is and what it's meant to do, and it is a showcase and a platform for all the best parts of not only agriculture but Western culture as well. And rodeo is such a crown jewel in that for Agribition, so it became really important to us really early on to find a way to still highlight and throw a bit of a spotlight if we can on the sport itself. And that's what that's why you and I are talking here today, is so that we can still give the contestants and give the personnel and the volunteers and the organizations and all the people that get connected with this great sport an opportunity to see themselves a little bit and celebrate it a little bit under what is under some pretty tough circumstances this year. So the loss of rodeo in general and the loss of our rodeo in particular, it hits you kind of in the gut. And I think when we talk about how do we preserve the culture of rodeo, it is always about finding new ways to be excited about it, new ways to celebrate it. And in a year where we can't bring our rodeo community together like we normally would, we come up with ideas like this so that we can at least communicate with people and let them know that we're here for them and we're planning, and I would like everybody to know out in the rodeo community that not just Agribition but every rodeo out there, because we're in constant communication. Just because there's no rodeos this year doesn't mean that we're not busy planning for the next ones.
Well, and we're very happy that you are. And we're thankful once again for the governing body in Airdrie with Jeff and the crew with the CPRA to sort of support our individual rodeos and things that are going on. But could you go over just a bit now, what do you have planned going on here in 2020? What's happening in Agribition as a whole, and where do you see it going on for the year?
Yeah, well, Agribition is for anybody who's been there, it's a fairly wide and deep celebration of agriculture events. So kind of the anchor of what we do is purebred beef cattle. So we have hundreds of exhibitors and thousands of animals that come to Agribition every year. Clearly that can't happen in 2020, but we took some time and we designed a virtual and online competition, or essentially a catalog of competitions for individual breeders that they can take part in. So that's exciting. We've done and are doing stuff around education and the junior programs in agriculture as well, because we all know that's the sort of the grassroots of an entire generation that's coming up. So they need to be supported. They need to have a platform no matter what the circumstance is. And then in terms of the sport of rodeo, it's this project here. We've got an opportunity to put together a professional television program about the people and the things behind the scenes that make rodeo work, and also hear from some of the sport's biggest stars. So that's been exciting. And really what we're trying to do is just not let anything be forgotten. Let people participate in a version of the things they love about agriculture and Western culture, so that when we pull the gate in 2021, we're ready to go.
Well, and I mean, you've got a fairly large scope of projects going on just this year. I believe it's probably a one-of-a-kind thing on the world, having a virtual cattle show, and that's got to be daunting in itself. And congratulations on having, the bravery to get in there and want to do that. So let's change focus just a little bit now into 2021. What do you see for a relaunch? What might the steps start to be? And I'm sure you're already working on it. Why don't you give us a little preview of what maybe you're taking?
Yeah, I think Jeff said it pretty well, is that it's constant communication with health authorities and trying to figure out ways to work within the guidelines and whatever lifting of restrictions. If I was going to guess, I would say it's probably not going to be a light switch. We're probably not going to be back to full capacity events overnight. We're probably in stages, and I think it's important for all of us in the event industry, one, to lobby to let the people who are in charge of these things know that there's a lot of livelihoods and there's a lot of a community at stake here. But also then it's incumbent on us to make sure that we're good partners in this, so that we're doing the work to make sure that it's easy for those authorities to give us the green light to go. So I think we've got some months of that left to work on. Again, anybody who's been to Agribition knows we're sort of at the upper echelon of in terms of capacity. We do over 120,000 people every year in our week-long event. So other big events, in Alberta or all over Western Canada will be facing the same kind of questions. And I think in the rodeo world, you're seeing a lot of discussion right now around, well, how many people do you actually need to make the thing work? And I think there's a bit of a consensus that in the rodeo world, just because of the costs associated with it and doing a good job of it for the contestants and the fans, is that you want to be able to put as many fans as possible back in the buildings or in the stands, in the grandstands, as the case may be.
Now, this is something I've been thinking about for the last few days, with the loss of the Canadian Finals Rodeo with Agribition and now the move of the Wrangler National Finals to Texas. They're going to lose a lot of that subsidiary income for a lot of people that base their business upon being able to get to something like Agribition, do the networking, do the processes. Is there some way that people can support Agribition? Is there somebody they can talk to, get a hold of on the phone, write anything that they can do to help out in pushing this forward and making it the biggest and the best that it can be in 2021?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, and the best thing that I could offer to people is, if you're part of the community, if you're part of agriculture or Western culture, is be vocal about the space that it fills and the good things that we bring to the communities that we live in and the part of the world we live in. I think it's probably not a mystery to at least our community here. What a big deal the kind of events we're talking about are, not only for that community spirit, but also for the businesses, as you mentioned, that rely on those events and that industry working at full tilt to be able to pay the rent and put food on the table. So there's a lot of dominoes that fall when we're in a situation like this. But I have to say, just personally, in the last 6 or 7 months here, it's been encouraging and heartening to see the best qualities of our community, our Western culture, come through. I think you're seeing a resiliency that we always know is there in agriculture and rodeo. It bubbles to the surface even more than it normally does. And if I was betting on an industry to weather it and come out just as strong and excited for what's happening once we get all through this, it's our industry.
Absolutely. And one thing I'd like to maybe bring up as well, buckle up, because when things do open up, it is going to be a party, like you said here a little while ago. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it, Jeff. Appreciate it, Chris. These are definitely two of the largest and heaviest weighted men in the rodeo industry, and they've done a great job in promoting and producing what we've got so far. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of it.
Boost your efficiency and your bottom line with Young's Equipment and Case IH. From the versatility of the Puma 150 CVX to the best-in-class efficiency of the Maxim 145, Case IH tractors can handle everything from field work to loader work. And with the RB565, you'll bale faster than ever and save on handling, transportation, and net wrap expenses with superior bale shape and density. Find your nearest location at youngs.ca and see how Youngs and Case IH can boost your efficiency.
Of course, the best part of rodeo action is the action on the dirt. Let's have one last look back at one of the best rides in the Maple Leaf Finals in the Rodeo Re-Ride, presented by Ford. All series long, we've been tipping our hat to MNP as a longtime sponsor of the Agribition Rodeo, and this program in particular. They're a familiar name when it comes to supporting what we do, and they're excited about getting back to it in 2021. Why are you involved in Agribition, and why is MNP involved in the rodeo in particular?
I think being the premier farm show in Canada, Agribition brings together thousands of people across Canada and the world, and it really showcases lots of different subsectors of agriculture, which fits well with MNP, being that we're so involved in ag right into every level and subsector. And the rodeo, I think just because there's a large crowd of fans that want to come and enjoy the rodeo, and we like to be a part of that night.
That's it for this episode of Maple Leaf Finals Rodeo TV, presented by MNP. And that's it for the series as well. Thank you for joining us and shining a spotlight on the sport, the people, the stock, and the partners that make the whole thing work. You can rewatch this or any episode in the series at agribition.com. And a final tip of the hat to IKS Media for the production services not only for this program, but at many rodeos across Canada. I'm Tim Edge, and on behalf of Canadian Western Agribition and its entire rodeo family, we'll see you in November at the Maple Leaf Finals.